A Bitcoin and Cardano pump is teasing the markets right now, and the charts really do look like they are very close to ready. But in this video, I want to answer one very simple question that we all have. Is the crypto bull market getting ready for continuation, or is there more downside? What is up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. Hit the subscribe and like on the way in. Let's jump into it, starting with Bitcoin. This is on the daily. It just gives you a very clear picture. We dipped very big. Bitcoin's in this consolidation pattern, however you want to chart it. Lower lows, support at around $30,000, and the move is getting ready to happen. I really think the move is getting ready to happen. But I want to talk about first the case of why the move looks like it's getting ready to happen. I can't get this out of my head. This is from June 24th on-chain metrics data from Glassnode, the stablecoin supply ratio. It bottomed. It's been trending up in recent weeks, indicating that capital has been flowing back from stablecoins into Bitcoin. And this was June 24th. This is what the chart looked like. And the last time we had Bitcoin in this bottoming area was the beginning of, going into November, the bull market. And if you look at the chart now, we can go over here. It's trending up. And here's October into November, which is the beginning of the bull market back here. Bitcoin is in this prime position where the accumulation phase has begun. People have been buying this dip. And I really think Bitcoin's entering this new era in which dips won't last long. The other case for this is the fact that, listen, Bitcoin right now is 300, let's see. Let me move this over. From the 2020 halving, Bitcoin is actually 413 days. 413 days post halving. Now, if we go back and we look at Bitcoin, the 2016 halving, 413 days. Let's just go see where Bitcoin is at that moment. 413 days in the middle of the last bull markets. Now, going to this weekly chart, we get a really clear view. Probably more importantly, when Bitcoin entered these bull market doors in November, which is what we were just discussing, we are around 224 days after that happened. In the last bull market, when Bitcoin entered those same bull market doors, which is a macro Fibonacci 786 to 618, 210 days after that happened, Bitcoin right around here, revisiting the 1618 area of the same macro Fibonacci. And here we are, the same 1618 area of the macro Fibonacci for continuation to the upside. This, I need to dig into this. I need to do a full video on this, but that data alone suggesting and really, really giving us a clue that this bull market is halfway done and we're getting ready for continuation. I don't want to be too overly bullish, but let's start digging into the charts on the short term to see if can we get that breakout at least? Can the ship turn around here? And it does start on the short term. I want to start with a clip from June 29th. If Bitcoin gets rejection off of here, we want to see another higher low. This is where the story on the short term begins in terms of trying to track the bullish reversal and getting that confirmation. So swing low to now swing high. If it's here, we do have support again all the way down here, 32,000. So let's see how that played out from June 29th. And here is the chart, the 6-hour chart, and it played out, I mean, pretty perfectly. So we did top out right here at the resistance. This resistance area is what we were tracking on that chart. We were talking about coming in and putting in a higher low right at this Fibonacci, and look what happened. Bitcoin put in a higher low bounce right at the 618 line. It's no surprise. These Fibonaccis, I know I talk about them all the time. They just work so well. And here we are. We're in this very short uptrend, and like every little move like this, and this is a very small one. We just had this other one coming out of June 26. Every move like this, markets are like, oh, here we go. This could be it. And we can't be so quick to say that. The case is there. On the macro, the case is there for bullish continuation into the bull market. But we're in this downtrend on this chart. And there are clues that suggest that we have to be very careful right now. On the very short term, Bitcoin has resistance. It's that swing high that we talked about in that last video to this new swing low support. Bitcoin has this resistance area right around $35,000 to $35,700. A very small channel. Bitcoin's not even there yet. Can Bitcoin get to that area and start seeing separation above that area? And can we break this previous lower high? That's the trend we need to start seeing Bitcoin do on the very short term in order for these longer term macro charts to really start making a move for it. And we can see this happen. This potentially could happen this week We could get a shift on the weekly chart where we're starting to see green candles. It could be very slow in terms of what it looks like. It could be a pump, but we can see this shift start taking place on this weekly chart. We already know when looking at the momentum oscillators, Bitcoin way oversold on the stock RSI. We've cooled down ridiculously on the RSI right around the 45 line, and the MACD has cooled down significantly with this histogram starting to trend upward. So the case is there in many, many regards for Bitcoin to make a run for it, but be very careful because we are just at this trend line. We're in this downtrend. The apex of this descending triangle is right here. So if we get rejected on this very short-term resistance that we just talked about, there's a case Bitcoin's going to be testing the $30,000 to $31,000 area once again. Let's pivot over to Cardano. I have to just start with this. I know I did a video on it yesterday. ADA, grayscale, it happened. What's really cool is if you go to the Grayscale's website, they don't even have Cardano listed on here yet. Cardano's not even listed on here. And when you look at, this is the very simple thing I just wanted to take a glance at. When you look at the top three in terms of Grayscale and their large cap fund, Cardano just boom, skipped the line to number 3. It's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano. And I really think it's going to get weighted even heavier in favor of Cardano as we move into smart contracts and Cardano continues to build. One thing to keep in mind when you're looking at a weekly chart like this is institutional investors right here, right? Hedge funds, institutional investors, and they're gaining this indirect exposure to Cardano now. They're very easy to get in and out of, meaning when Cardano does take off, I don't know when it will be, but when it does, and we're seeing Cardano pump, on the tail end of that, we're going to have that institutional demand now hopping on those pumps. That is for sure. And I think we're going to see pumps like we've never seen for Cardano on this zoomed out chart. But when will that happen? That's the question. We know the case for Cardano as we go into smart contracts. We talked about that briefly. We know what we're looking on the A to BTC pair. It's consolidating right here on the weekly chart. I think there's a ton of room for upside, even if there's continued downtrend in this entire market and Cardano suffers against Bitcoin, say up to 45 to 50% to the downside. Cardano still in the macro would be putting in a higher low for potential continuation in the long-term story, the important story on these charts. But I want to talk about what's going on here. This is the daily chart. We know that Cardano has just been entering huge resistance here, and I want to take a glance of what that looks like, really dig in, and we're going to use the 6 hour. Now, here's the 6 hour chart. There's so much happening. I want to try and break it down as simple as I can. Number one, I want to start with this trend line all the way back here. And there's kind of two. There's that blue one. There's this smaller yellow one. These were symmetrical triangles. Now, both symmetrical triangles, they didn't play out very well at all. Cardano just teasing us, even now as we are just outside pretty much this apex that you see here and this apex that you see here. Cardano's just in the middle still. Every time I do a video, how many times am I saying this? Cardano seems to be like in this general vicinity, and it's just teasing us. So this is a perfect example. Patterns don't always play out perfectly, but they still help us in structure. They still help us in guidance in the story, the trend of these cryptos. So we got the break to the downside and then to bounce back up to the apex area. Now, notice the two trend lines, though. We continue to use Cardano above those things. This is a really good first sign for Cardano in the 6 hour, but there's a longer term pattern kind of in effect right now, which is this lower trend line that has come into fruition. And we have this descending triangle now that we see on Cardano. And it's very important to pay attention to because as we're breaking these trend lines, there's certainly a potential for throwback to the descending triangle upper trend line apex area. When it comes to what throwbacks look like, we know we have a 60% throwback rate. So it's very, very up in the air right now in terms of what that could look like for Cardano on the 6 hour, whether we're going to just continue or we're going to get the throwback, right? So continue to the upside, get the throwback. Along with all of the pattern stuff I just talked about, right now, Cardano also in another pattern, which is this ascending triangle in the very short term. Ascending triangle, higher highs, higher lows, and just a higher upper trend line resistance area. That's kind of the story of an ascending triangle. So we have swing low, higher low, higher low, and then we just have this resistance area right around $1.40 on Cardano. That's an ascending triangle. Hard to chart in terms of how the trend line or how these candles kind of closed. But we have this lower trend line we could chart here. We could chart it more like this, a little bit smaller of ascending triangle, but you get the point. The story is the same. There's upward momentum in Cardano, and we're looking for a breakout to the upside. Breakout target really would be $1.70 to $1.90. It really depends how you're going to chart that. One thing I want to note as I talk about that, there's not really any separation from this upper trend line right now. So we need to see separation. And above all else, notice Cardano is in the middle of so much resistance. The 2018 all-time high at around $1.33. The $1.50 significance that we've talked about right here, not far from where Cardano is right now. The 50-day moving average around $1.56. I don't even have the 20-week moving average on here, but we know the 20-week moving average right around $1, it's $1.35, $1.36. And if we look at where that is on the chart, we are right around here, right? So we're just in the middle of this resistance storm for Cardano. So be very careful in terms of if Cardano is actually going to get the extension from this upper trend line. Again, there's downside scenario for Cardano here on the charts. If it fails and we have this apex, another 20% to the downside, testing the lower dollars potentially in play. You have to be very careful. The reason I talk about all of this stuff is if you start seeing Cardano start breaking through the rest of this resistance and getting overextension from this this triangle upper trend line, guess what? We have a reversal, a very real reversal in play. We already slightly have it in play because we have these upper trend lines broken and Cardano's kind of making a move out. But this is the true breakaway area, up to that dollar, that 50-day moving average around $1.56 area. If Cardano can make its way back above that area, it would be huge. And then just be ready and wait for these confirmations. Don't get overly bullish. Don't get overly confident. Don't get overly bearish, right? There is downside, but just wait and see how this progresses. Those are my thoughts as we start this weekend. I hope you're doing well out there. Hit the subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Appreciate all of you. Hit the like on the way out. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.